Kasper.
Hi, Kasper.
So good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you as well.
Yeah.
Knock, knock.
Who's that?
Yeah.
Yeah, who?
Nej, I'm more a Google guy.
That's stupid.
Sorry.
No,
On a scale from 1 to 10, how is Kasper today?
Kasper is very, very good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Busy, but good. It's event season starting, so there's a lot of things going on.
Yeah.
From a scale from 1 to 10, how's Kasper today?
How's Kasper today? Kasper is a solid 8 today.
Okay.
Yeah. It's busy. We have some Adobe events coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Something called Target and Tapas.
Yeah.
That's
a clever title.
That's a clever title. It seems like Adobe is keeping it food related. So we've been part of analytics and advertisers.
Yeah.
Now we're doing some sessions at Target and Tapas. So I'm going to be in London and in Munich in October.
So nice.
Yeah. So we have I'm working on the sessions for those.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
That is exciting. What's more exciting is what are we going to be talking about today?
So whenever I speak to someone from Spain,
yeah,
I like to use the word mucho.
Mucho.
Yeah.
I saw your LinkedIn post on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see my comment?
Yeah, it was perfect. Do you know why I like to use the word mucho?
Tell me, Kasper.
Because it apparently means a lot to them.
Yes.
Yeah. And today's topic means a lot to me. So as we will bring topics, bringing topics, today's topics is about data wars. And what is data wars?
That's my question to you.
Yeah, but you already asked it, actually.
Yeah. Before we started recording, what is data wars in this fantastic world that we're living in these days?
And data wars can be a lot of things, but I think the main thing right now is that why are we using data? How are we using it? I will look at this from a go-to-market perspective. And the end goal of go-to-market is that we are trying to create value for our business. We're trying to grow our business. We're trying to create value for the audiences that we're speaking to.
And by our business, you mean companies?
Any business. So when a enterprise, when a company has a go-to-market, we're doing that to create value, value into our business, to create value for our customers, to bring this in front of them. There's a massive challenge in this because data is on the front and center of this if you want to succeed. But businesses are operating on two broken models. So we have this model that's how can we create the value? Well, we split it into two models to make it easier for ourselves, but it doesn't work. So on the one side, we have in go-to-market, we have the optimization truth. How are we going to optimize the efforts that we do across channels, across campaigns, across everything that we do? And
so the reports and analysis you do when looking at your data.
Exactly. How do we make sense of this? How do we get away from 50% of our marketing works? I don't know which 50% works. And then on the other hand, we have the business truth, which is why we're doing the things. So what is the business outcome of us going to market, of us talking about these topics, doing these campaigns? And it's become two siloed truths that often doesn't speak together.
And typically, what are the teams sitting in those two silos? Yeah,
so basically we have three actors in this game.
Okay.
We have marketing, we have IT, and we have business execs. So we have the ones who are operational around it, set the strategy, execute it. We have IT who needs to control the compliance and make everything make sense. And then we have the execs who need to make money. Okay. To just make it short and sweet. Then we have data analytics in between some of these. But there are two challenges that makes these models not work. And that is that we need to work on one model. If these two strategies, these two truths doesn't align, then we have no outcome. Then we're back to the 50%.
Okay. So that's your data war.
So the data war is that everyone in this game are trying to convince the others that they are right in the data, where essentially no one is right. Like the business truth always decides.
Yeah.
But no one is right because the truth, the single source of truth that everyone talks about is when we combine these strategies. Instead of having two strategies that doesn't work, the data wars, what it's not about is it's about fighting and throwing mud, but it should be about how do we align these two things.
Okay, so typically when I work with clients, what we sometimes see is that, marketing that we typically work with see, certain numbers in the data.
Yeah.
And when they report those up in dashboards or to C-levels, whatever, they typically get the same metrics or the same KPIs from a different division or part of the company, and the numbers are not matching.
Yeah.
Is that what you're referring to?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in many cases, they're looking at different KPIs. They're looking at different things, but it doesn't add up. And that's the challenge. And from where we sit, we see two main challenges into this. The first one is that there's no shared data language. So how we communicate data is totally different in each entity. And secondly, there's integrations. So the tools that we're using to provide this doesn't speak together. And I imagine that you have a lot of experience from consultancy into like the tool pack and the data fitting into this, because it's something that we hear with every business out there.
Yeah, and I think part of the development has been that, when I started in this game, it was talked about web analytics, and now we're not really using web analytics term anymore. It's digital data or whatever we call it, right? But it still tends to be in that silo that web analytics was in, right? But what we're coming from the Adobe background, what we are seeing, especially with customer journey analytics, is that we are changing the terms because we need to be. We're changing the terms for the data that we input.
Yeah.
Because it needs to be aligned with offline data that we're inputting as well.
Yeah.
Right? So I think the terminology or the concept of bridging those two parts, we're taking steps in that direction.
Yeah.
But we are typically coming from the old web analytics perspective, right? But I think companies are internally starting to figure out that we need to bridge the gap.
Yeah.
But I don't think that ends the war.
It will definitely not end the war. But it's funny that everyone is trying to achieve the same thing.
Yeah.
But it ends up in a war, like who's right?
Yeah.
Who has the right to say this is the correct data? But I'm very curious to see, like, from a technology perspective and from a data perspective, how do you see that the tools being used are trying to gap this hole?
So I think that the tools, and it's probably primarily from an Adobe Experience Platform perspective that I've started seeing that it's trying to fix it.
Yeah.
Primarily with customer journey analytics and it's becoming very technical, the Web SDK and real-time CDP, because it suddenly requires that you integrate data from different parts of the company.
Yeah.
Like you have your online data, maybe you have your call center data, you got your CRM data, and suddenly there's a requirement for connecting them and having the same name.
Yeah.
Because suddenly a sales metric isn't just sales on your website. Suddenly it's sales in your brick and mortar store, or it's sales that happened through a call center.
Yeah.
And then you need to bridge that gap.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think the technology hasn't been there to fully help push the conversation in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
But now when we are putting that data together, then it's a different story, right? We need to be having those conversations.
So that when the business side of things, everything is the business and go-to-market. But when the exec side of things start to see the data add up, they buy more into this, or is it the tooling that actually gets better to do that?
I think it's the tooling that has enabled those conversations.
Yeah.
I think there's still a lot of maturity having to happen in order to set the direction. Yeah. But the tool has enabled the conversation.
Yeah.
I think in the past it's been, typically companies have like a BI team who's been doing, big analysis and stuff.
Yeah.
They haven't really liked the clickstream data from web analytics or from analytics because it's unstructured, it's not 100%. So typically those has only looked at, your CRM data or your sales data, because they can trust that data.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, even though the tool has been there to start the conversation, there's been what's the word? That there's been a lack of interest potentially of actually integrating it because it's been difficult.
Yeah.
With the, at least with the Adobe suite, where you suddenly have your analytics data and now can onboard your offline data.
Mm-hmm.
That has really enabled the conversation.
Okay.
But I think there needs to be deeper conversations to ensure that there's use cases that execute and uses all those data points. Otherwise, you're just integrating data without having a purpose of doing it.
Yeah, I completely agree. And to be honest, I think this is a political game. It's turned into a political game, which is weird because it's like this autoimmune thing for the companies that they're breaking their own end results. Because when we look at the silos, when we look at the optimization truth from the go-to-market teams, they're doing tremendous work. I mean, like they are full control of all the silos in this. But even those, like we see when we have the shared data language, so we are enabled that we can bring the business truth language into how we track and optimize campaigns. Then we often see that this integration ends already then, because they might have, like the average is 50% data accuracy across go-to-market teams. Mm-hmm. When they go to 90 plus, we start to enable cases like AI and all the other things. Yeah. But we also start to enable that we actually know what works. But for many companies, the chain drops then. So the optimization truth is under control, but it's not connected to the business truth. It's not connected to the CRM. It's not connected to which means that the attribution from the go-to-market team when we talk about marketing is never attributed. So the silo never adds to the second one. And I think the politics in this is important. I think it's so important that we, from IT, from marketing, from data analytics, from business executives, can have this conversation. Because I see an ostrich tendency where people say, we know our data is not good enough. What should we do about it? They point their fingers. Oh, it's with IT, or it's with execs, or it's with marketing, or it's...
But I also typically see that, and I don't want to make IT the culprit, but oftentimes, as soon as you from marketing go and ask, I'd like to get this data into this new platform I have, there's a reluctancy of doing that, right?
Yeah, but maybe due to awareness that the data is not good enough. Yeah. And even though it's not their responsibility necessarily, that they know this.
Do you think so?
I think in many cases that this is what stops many IT projects. Yeah. It stops many data projects because we are aware that our data is not good enough because it's handled by spreadsheets or it's handled by random actions that optimize the silos but will never optimize the business.
Okay. So you think that data quality is the underlying reason of reluctancy of not sharing data but connecting data?
Absolutely. I think it's data quality and I think it's integration. So how we integrate this data. Okay. If the quality of the data is good enough and in a language that both includes the optimization truth and the business truth, and we're able to put this between tools or enable this between tools, the companies that does this, we see them outperforming their businesses or their competition because it works, because this is the single source of truth. Yeah. And the single source of truth is a myth for most. So it kind of becomes a buzzword or a hyper trend that we need to do. But it's kind of like in many relationships when we talk about whatever, I like football a lot. My girlfriend hates it. So I can talk as much about this, but she will never listen. Yeah. Until we speak the same language, we're not able to go to that football match together. We're not able to create those business results that we want.
So I don't think it's the quality that's the issue or causing the reluctancy. I think data quality is an issue. Yeah. Right? But I don't think it's the underlying issue for having the reluctancy of integrating data or putting it into a different system.
That's interesting.
I think there might be, and I'm not from the IT part, so I obviously don't have the full insights in it, but I think there's a data security concern.
So compliance?
Compliance, typically, so not because I know the quality could be better, but more from a compliance perspective, I'm concerned. IT, I'm in charge of making sure that we own our data, or I know where it is. So I think the conversation starter should be to educate IT on what are the use cases that we can start executing on? What's the business value? It's not just from a technical perspective on, here, we can do IDO stitching if we get that data and we can tie it together and we can see, but what's the business value in it, right? When we can tie this data together, we can predict or we can see that, this campaign is outperforming the other campaign.
Yeah.
So I think it's a compliance question, but I still think we have a data quality issue. I'm not saying the data quality issue isn't there, but I think it's primarily when talking with IT. I think it's a compliance concern, right? We already have a data warehouse. Why should we put data into a new data warehouse?
Yeah.
Right? Even though it might not be a
but
data warehouse.
It's super interesting because I think this is like the exact point why this is a difficult situation, why this becomes politics.
Yeah.
Because different eyes sees different things.
Yeah.
And they need to. But how do we get to a place where we kind of are able to take all these things? Because without this, we won't ever have a single source of truth, right?
No.
I completely agree with you. I think there are multiple reasons why this doesn't happen.
Yeah. It's the classic one with the bridge and the 6, I see a 6 and you see a 9.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
So I think the conversation, or to bridge the teams, end the war, whatever we want to call it, I think is the driver for that should be business value, right?
Absolutely, I completely agree. Because when we talk about business value, and if everyone comes together, and that's again to my starting point, like, why do we do this? Why do we do go to market? Why do we do all these things? We do it to increase the value for our customers and for our business.
Yeah.
If that's the thing we have inside, then we can get everyone to collaborate.
Yeah.
Agencies, internal teams, consultancies, anything that we do, because we're able to say this is where we want to go. Instead of, to be honest, most do the 80% work in a data project.
Yeah.
And we see now with AI that 95% dies at pilot stage. And 60% of that due to bad data. So it's absolutely crucial that we understand what is the foundation that we build on compliance, on data, and on what outcome we want to do before we start these projects. Otherwise, as you say, it's going to be a waste of time.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question. So do you think that I'll start somewhere else. So I sometimes work with companies where seen from the outside, there's like internal kingdoms of, I need to prove that my department can add value. So I'm reluctant of actually sharing data or connecting it because I'm concerned that I enable a different department to actually add more value than I can add. Do are you seeing that, and do you think that's part of the issue, or?
Yeah, I think this is an episode on its own. But definitely, because I think due to not being able to have this single source of truth, it becomes a lot about proving your value in the business, which essentially has nothing to do with the business outcome. So I think it's a lot.
But that's not an easy fix, right? if there's a king on his kingdom and he's reluctant of doing anything, we can show as much business value, but
you can go to work and you can I need to show how good I am at my job, or you can go to work and as a team show how much can we excel our business.
Yeah.
And I think we are pivoting more to the first, where the latter is, to be honest, isn't that what's fun? Like for me, like as a company, as a team, can excel what we're doing to create even better results. I mean, we have the unicorn thing that has been going on for years, where that is the main goal. So why is that the main goal for so many? I know it's not for all, but the growth is so important. But still, we look at how can I prove the value of the asset that I'm creating, or the channel that I'm in control of. And
I mean, I think that's the joy of being a consultant.
Yeah.
Right. Seeing that you actually move a company, right?
Yeah.
For us, it's not about having a fantastic business. Our fantastic business is making sure that we add value and move the clients, right?
And then move out.
Right? Let them take over and run it themselves, right?
Yeah.
But there's also people, in reality, who actually change his job because the business is moving too slow and they can't really.
Yeah, but that happens a lot.
Move the needle on anything because of internal kingdoms or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So to wrap up, Data Wars is about I'm going to refer to those as internal kingdoms of building their own truth of the data.
Yeah.
Competing about who's actually right on it. The solution. What is there a, or maybe not a solution? Is there a recommendation?
No. Yeah, but I love it because the solution is what we're looking for.
Yeah.
But to be honest, isn't it?
So what's the first step? First step of breaking down the kingdoms, or is that looking at and presenting the business value? Because we talked about, is it the data quality or is it the compliance?
Yeah. But it's everything, right?
Yeah.
So I think the first step into this is that we need to speak the same language. And that starts with like, what is it that we're trying to achieve?
Yeah.
If we're trying to grow our business by X%, then all teams need to pitch into that. To do that, we need a similar data language.
Similar data language.
So when we do our optimization in our go-to-market, in our campaigns, we need to include the budget info. We need to include everything that attributes. So what across our channels can we compare? There's a lot we can compare. What can we compare and put in relation to our business truth first? And then secondly, of course, InfoSec and compliance is super important. I see when companies prioritize data, this often goes pretty smoothly, but it takes a certain level of maturity. Yeah. And then the third one is like, how do we integrate this data? So how do we because we need to optimize the silos, otherwise they won't work. Yeah. But we need to put it into relation to the business truth. So we can put it in dashboards or BI where we see, okay, this is actually how the efforts we did impacted or did not impact our business growth in this.
Okay. So I like the similar language or common language. For me, typically seeing, I don't want to call IT out as the culprit, but that's typically a blocker that I see our clients are having. Yeah. So I think, educating IT on what's the business value, because I understand that they want to be, we have a data warehouse. That's where our data goes. Yeah. We are reluctant of actually, so showing business value of if we educate you, we don't want to build a second data warehouse, but we want to use the data you already have.
Yes.
Do that and get value from it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I agree with that, but I also disagree.
Nice.
Because I see the biggest disruptor for this is actually the executives, so the business executives. Yeah. They need to understand the importance of data. They're starting to open their eyes now in AI times, and we'll talk about this on another episode. Yeah. But they're starting to see it. But AI is only the first of the rest of the hyper trends that's going to come, and everything is going to be based on data. If we do not prioritize our data, we're not going to succeed in any of this. We're going to be part of the 95% that dies during pilot stage. So I think it's with the business execs that they need to prioritize this. And the funny thing is, solve this once, then you got it. Like, you solved it. Yeah. But we keep being the ostrich and putting our head to the ground and saying like, no. Then we'll just wait with this project. And then the next one comes up, and next one. Yeah. You get my point.
So I think on that note, let's wrap it up. Yeah. Absolutely. As you said, AI, I think is going to be the next thing that we're going to be talking about. I think that's an interesting topic as well. So I guess stay tuned if you want to hear about AI.
Thank you for checking in. And I'm so sad that my dad joke fell through compared to yours. You won 1-0.
Okay. We'll see if you can settle the score next episode.
Yeah. See you guys.